Right, so just a prequel to the forthcoming video. I had a bit of an oil leak on my van. I actually thought of just starting a bit of a YouTube channel. So I'm a gas engineer, plumber for a long time, builder for a long time. Like messing around with vehicles, so I had a bit of a task on with this. I'd replace the timing belt, wet timing belt on these. And it had developed a small leak. It's trying to lift up that timing belt cover plate. If you catch it on anything on the way up, it's going to leak. So I've put it on task January the 1st to have a go at it. The idea of the videos is to keep a bit of a sort of vlog for my children more than anything. Sort of get up to all sorts of crazy stuff. Here's something we built last year. This is cool. A lot of water around this on there. That's a future project over there. And if I walk this way, this will be something to do in the summertime. Look at the state of that garage. Yeah, Daihatsu pickups, absolutely fantastic. And this is MOT and tax exempt in February. Happy days. So that'll be a little project we're doing together through the summer probably. The weather's not so great and it's cold at the moment, not the best for welding. It starts and runs absolutely great. There's a couple of issues. I may have to rebuild the engine on it, low oil pressure. We'll have to diagnose that as we go along. So enjoy the ride if you care to follow me on my mad journeying. And I hope you gain some good information from how I approach this. Little tips and tricks, things to do, what I remove to get at it, and the process. Well, enjoy. Well, it's January the 1st. I did the wet timing belt a couple of weeks back, and I've noticed it's casting a rainbow. I suspect it's coming from the timing belt cover. It really is a two-man job. I had to get in there. So my January 1st is taking off cover and re-RTVing it, hoping that the weather's gracious to me today. So if you're going to tackle this job on a Transit Custom, the wet belt, my suggestion is take the headlight out. Oh yeah, everything's nice and oily in there. Alright, let's take it apart. Best advised to drain the coolant. That little screw down there is a 20mm. You could take that out and hope that vacuum holds it, but for just ease, just drain the coolant out from the bottom hose. Right, so after removing that, you'll get a 15mm spanner on the belt tensioner. Move it towards the driver's seat. You are gonna love trying to get that off there. Everything's quite covered in oil down here. It's hard to tell where it's coming from, so we'll just take it all off. You do bend these covers taking them off, but you can reuse it by straightening it out. Just make sure all your surfaces are clean again. Should have done it right the first time. That there pump you've got, see the bolt, for sure, yeah. You've got some bolts. Yeah, if you loosen that off and move that towards the front of the vehicle, that'll make it easier to get this plate off. I suppose it depends which model you have. What that bugger there, that's the fun and games one right there, but we'll show you how we do that. Get yourself a nice cleaning bucket and disconnect from here and drain all your coolant, pull the cap off the coolant, reservoir, expansion tank, whatever you want to call it, and it'll all drain down nicely from here. Keep it in a nice clean bucket and then you can reuse it. If it's getting on a bit, just replace it. It's 50-50 in these, about 10 litres. Right, I've seen people take off all the air filter and all that on these. You don't really need to. If you take the headlight out, just take that air intake tube off, that there. You've got a Jubilee clip down there and one there. And you can remove all this and push that up out of the way. Deal with all this lot. And lift that pipe up there. Lift that up out of the way. The piggies, when you slide in this cover back in, this is what's happened. I think I've knocked a bit of RTV off here and it's obviously developed a leak. You can never know till you've had it running for a day. I've just been putting it off, so January the 1st seemed a good day to tackle it again. I've got to be honest, it is an absolute pain in the arse to do. Everything's really restricted. You're constantly jacking the engine up and down to get things off, but quite rewarding to do it yourself. A lot of mechanics don't actually like touching this job, and I can see why. You do have to take the sump off as well if you're doing the oil pump belt at the bottom. Well, that's been changed and my sump's not leaking, it's just this timing cover. So see how we progress. So once you've got a few things pushed out of the way, that nut undone down there, this one here for this bracket, support the engine underneath with a jack and take them 4 bolts off. Then you can just drop the pressure off the jack a bit and then take these 4 bolts off. They're 13mm, I think they're 17, don't quote me on that, but I find it easy to take them off. Drop the engine, take that off, and then take the bracket off, and all the other gubbins you'll see as we move along. Whew, right, you'll be happy when you can get that water 20mm bleed effort out of there, and someone from Ford can kindly explain why that needs to be so tight. I don't know. If you're wondering what size the nut is to take the tensioner off, that's a TX50. We're going to pull that crank off in a minute, but first I'm going to undo this power steering pump and just loosen the bolts enough that it'll clear that casing when you remove the casing. There's all these 8mm, there's a 10mm down there, a 13mm, but the crank pulley will have to come off first, and we'll have a bit of fun with that in a minute. Not for the faint-hearted. Right, so we're at a stage, there's 3 10mm bolts on the power steering motor down there, so you just pull that out of the way and that'll enable you to pull that timing plate cover off. Now for the fun and games, there's different ways of doing this. You can lock the camshaft with a key, which I have got, but you don't really need it for taking it off. You will swing on that and swing on that. I don't know what it equates to, but it's 300 Newton meters plus 90 degrees after like I think a 9-stage torque setup. Make your life a bit easier. Get one of them bad boys, I'll get it off no problem. And for pulling the actual crankshaft pulley off, that's the part number for the puller. They're about 70 quid, but I don't think you're going to get it off without one. Alright, the light's getting a bit dark now, but clean up all them faces after you remove everything. I'm going to reuse this, so You need a brake cleaner. Clean it all off with a wire brush. Brake cleaner again. Apply your RTV around every circle, everywhere where you see it raised. Some around here and here, and gently, and it's a two-person job really, slide it back up there and try and get 1 or 2 bolts in. Torque them up to specified torque, which is about 30-degree elbow. Oh, it's officially night time. Not too bad. Right, everything put back on. Just to, I'll wrap it up. There's only a couple of things to do. Put the belt on, put the air intake on. Just attach them 4 bolts for the engine mount. Refill up with coolant, and I'll pick it up in the morning. But that's job pretty much done. It's took about 6 hours in total. Right, it's now the next morning. A bit damp out here. Everything back on. We'll go through the process of tightening this crank bolt. Managed to degrease everything, so I'll have to see if there's any leaks after this, or need to replace that bolt there. And it's going to be the sump. So things to do. We need to remove the starter motor up there and lock the crankshaft before we do that. And give everything a good spraying under here. Refit all the auxiliary belts. And then fill up the coolant and start it up and circulate it, get rid of all the air, and hope there's no leaks. Another essential thing to do for when you're fixing up the crankshaft bolt, let's put the crankshaft tool on there to hold it in place, and then you can apply full force to the nut. Just worth noting, it is a bit difficult when you're on the floor to get good perches on that, but you kind of reach it from there, so you can get your foot on there and give it a good going. Hard to do one-handed. Click, that'll do. Right, so make sure you have your porridge for that. Your final torque is 90 degrees, so if you get your wrench where that dial's set at 0, and then it's just 90 degrees final. Make sure you have your porridge that morning. Right, just a couple of final notes. These are available off eBay actually. Very useful tool if you're doing timing belt, wet timing belt on a Transit Custom. Didn't necessarily use these sit on top of the cams and enable you to get the belt over easier, but I didn't need that. This tool locks the crankshaft in place. Very useful. I mean, that piece itself, you pick them up for about 60 quid if you can get them, but you can get the whole thing for like 62 quid delivered off eBay, so it's a no-brainer to me. Should I ever do a Transit Custom wet damn timing belt again, I've got the gear to do it. It's all about having the gear, guys. Failing that, everything's back up and running now. So I've got some other adventures on the way. I'm largely a gas plumbing engineer. Got to do lots of car stuff, so it'll be quite varied. I've also been a builder for 37 years. So, plenty going on. That was one of my past projects right there. I built that last summer. That's absolutely fantastic. Right, until the next time.